Hey there. How are you? I hope everything is well. Wherever you are, you're safe, you're healthy. Welcome to Supercharged Fridays. This is the best part of the week. This is the place to hang out and the place to be on all things career, right? How to get that dream job, how to get that promotion, how to lead a happier, richer, and more purposeful life. So, welcome wherever you are. Tell us where you are. Put it in the comments. Say hi. Don't be shy. And you can see I have somewhat of a LinkedIn celebrity with me today. I'd love for you to give Ahmed lots of likes, lots of hearts, lots of little applause emojis. It's 10 p.m. for him. It's been, I don't know, 14, 16-hour day for you, Ahmed. You're still hanging out. You're joining us today. Extremely generous of you. So um, I not only want you to put those emojis in there, but I also want you to tell us, like, a little in one emoji, what drink do you think he should be having to, stay awake? Maybe a coffee or, that thing that looks like onion soup. But anyway, welcome everyone. Welcome, Ahmed. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure. Yes, it is 10 p.m. in Sydney. I'm wearing this so I don't actually wake up the family. And I was just saying I look like an aeroplane pilot, but I don't usually have a headset on, but I do today. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Perfect. I was going to say, ladies and gentlemen, please fasten your seatbelts. We are about to take off.
Absolutely.
Fabulous. We've got people joining in. I'm just going to give cool shout out. Quick shout out. Hey, Risto, Yashasvi, Volkan, Lauren, Yukesh, Farhan. Welcome, everyone. Lovely to have you guys join us. Appreciate you joining us. I know everybody takes out time from their week, and it means a lot. So, Ahmed, we're going to get into a juicy topic, and
Yep.
it can be a rather interesting story, personal story, how every one of us remembers our experience with LinkedIn. So before we do that, to some people, because I know you're, when I Google you, Ahmed, you're all over the place. You're like on podcasts everywhere and on social media platforms. But there could be a very small community here that is not familiar with you. So I'd love for you to give us a quick, juicy little introduction about yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Ahmad Imam. For those who haven't seen me on a platform, I am what I call an edutainer. It's a combination of both education and entertainment. I'm a content creator. I'm the ambassador at Success Resources. Today, we're going to talk about content. We're going to talk about content creation. I'm going to use my story and, what I've been able to accomplish as an example of what anybody is able to accomplish using content creation. So today I'm going to give you some really juicy tips. I'm going to talk to you about the things that I've personally learned and experienced through trial and error for the last couple of years. So please stay tuned, be as interactive as you can, ask as many questions as you can, and we're going to have time for all of that. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Love that. Thank you so much. Fantastic. So we are obviously interested in making this as interactive as possible, but I'm guessing one of the reasons you're joining us today is obviously to learn a little bit from Ahmed. So Ahmed, let's get cracking. LinkedIn. It means lots of things to lots of people. The funny thing is it's been around forever, right? I feel like it started becoming more fashionable only the last maybe year or so. So there's been lots of interest. Gary Vee is very bullish on LinkedIn. Tell us a little bit for the uninitiated. When it comes to creating content on LinkedIn, what is the big deal? Why does it really matter what we're talking about?
Yeah, sure. And look, LinkedIn, believe it or not, started in 2002/2003. And as you know, it started off as a job seeker type platform. It was a place to showcase your online CV. I mean, to this day, there are many people that don't use LinkedIn that just perceive LinkedIn to be probably the most boring platform. You only use it if you need to, find a job or you're in between jobs. It's fundamentally shifted. And it actually shifted probably about 2 to 3 years ago when LinkedIn introduced video. Okay. As soon as LinkedIn introduced video and it gave people the opportunity not only to curate other videos, but to record videos of themselves and post it on the platform, it changed everything. It allowed people to brand themselves, to position themselves, to talk about their products, their services, their business, their own humanity. It changed everything. And what we're seeing now is the evolution of a content creation platform. Okay, I mean, we still have job seekers on this platform, of course, and it's fundamentally for that. But we now have an opportunity, unlike on many other platforms, where the organic reach on this platform is just through the roof. And we know on other platforms like Facebook, for example, it's pay to play now. If you want reach on Facebook, you're paying for it. There's no other way around it. And there is strong organic reach on some other platforms, but LinkedIn is a place where you can put out a post and have only a few thousand followers or a few hundred followers. And if your content is quality content, you can reach thousands of people. Okay. And that is free.
Yeah.
Right. So if you are someone that is in between jobs, if you are a CEO, executive, a director, an employee, an entrepreneur, a business owner, a founder, I mean, this platform is brilliant for a number of reasons. You can position yourself as an expert in your space. Okay. And content creation is great for that. Content creation helps to build trust. It helps to build brand. It positions you as an authority. It makes you a master, right? So whenever I create content, whenever anyone creates content, you want to educate your audience and inspire your audience, you actually do a lot of research, right? And that research helps you gain more knowledge into your particular space, because if you want to be positioned as an expert, you should be the person providing that expertise and providing those updates. So it makes you a master. It creates more traffic. More traffic equals more visibility, equals more leads, equals more customers, right? It keeps you top of mind with your target audience. So the idea is that you create content on a regular basis. Volume and consistency are absolutely key. And as your potential clients see you in the feed on a regular basis, you're staying front of mind with them. Yeah. Okay, so if you are a accountant, for example, and you are creating regular content once every day or once every couple of days, someone might not need an accountant right there. Okay, but when they do need an accountant, they're going to be like, God, who is that person that I keep seeing in that feed? Maybe I should get in contact with them. And that's really how it works. You build trust with your customer base. When you're positioning yourself as an expert, people want to know that they're working with the best, and you positioning yourself as an expert positions you as the best. So, I mean, Sunil, I could go on and on on with the benefits of creating content, but that's just a few things.
Absolutely. And there's a brilliant question by Lee. Lee, the free version works really well. So some people who are, interested in more analytics can go into the paid version. It's not a problem, but you do have a nice, generous trial period. But it's funny, Ahmed, what you're saying. I'm part of a mastermind with other entrepreneurs, and I'm the only one who uses LinkedIn. And I'm not showing off here, but I have a very different type of success, and they don't understand it because they refuse to believe that it's anything but a job seeker platform. They're like, I keep getting headhunted. It's very flattering. I'm like, well, it's more than that, So that stays with people for a long time. But I'm putting myself in the shoes of some cynics here. They're like, okay, I've heard this a lot of times. Okay, you've heard it. What have you done about it? If you still need a little inspiration, Ahmed, why don't you share with us what LinkedIn has done for you personally? Because I have witnessed a little bit of your growth. I mean, I only became friends with you last year, but you were already on a very sort of steep track already.
Yep.
Tell us what it's meant for you.
It's literally been life-changing, and I'm not even dramatizing that. So I'll give you a snapshot of what's happened for me in maybe the last, let's call it 18 months to maybe 20 months. All right. So when I started on this platform, I did not have a presence anywhere on any other social media platform. Right. I shut down Facebook a long time ago because for me, it was just a place to keep in touch with my cousins and extended family. And sometimes that gets a bit overwhelming. So I shut that down and I started LinkedIn just to really see what it was all about. I did hear a few things about it, but I had to see it for myself. So when I started, I was actually in the property industry, right? So I was more or less a real estate agent, and that was my career. It wasn't something that I was fond of. It was just something that I was good at, all right? But I mean, when I started on this platform, I experimented with the content creation. And I started off as an absolute rookie. I mean, I was not a content creator. I was not a video creator. I'd never done that before. I mean, I'd done maybe profile videos for websites and businesses and places that I've worked with, but I've never done something as overwhelming as put a camera in front of my face and speak. So for me, it was just a brand new thing. But I mean, within a very short period of time, I put out some videos of me just being myself, me being authentic, sharing a few stories, some personal stories, some vulnerable stories, talking about my expertise. And I found that the momentum built incredibly quickly. All of a sudden I was getting hundreds of views. And for me, that was a lot, right? Hundreds of people. I mean, imagine being in a room speaking to hundreds of people. That's the equivalent of what you're doing. So when you get to the stage where you can then reach thousands of people, which mind you is not difficult to do, it's the equivalent of being in a room speaking to thousands of people, sharing your message, right? So through that, I've had opportunities where I can collaborate with people globally. I've had opportunities where I've been involved in partnerships and joint ventures. I've had opportunities where I've been involved in social movements where I can help raise funds for charities and fundraisers. I've had numerous leads that have led to clients and long-term loyal clients. I've had the ability to collaborate with some incredibly large influencers like Damon John, the CEO of Fubu, and Claude Silver, the Chief Heart Officer at VaynerMedia. I've had posts go viral that have reached the attention of major media publications like Forbes and Inc., who have featured me for my content. And I've recently, let's say as of the last year, been able to secure a role with one of my dream jobs and start to do something that's a lot more in alignment with what I believe. I wasn't fond of property, but I'm now doing something that is very much aligned with me, which is self-improvement.
Yeah, I love that. And while you're talking, we've got like people fangirling, fangirling, like all over the place. And let's be honest, okay? All these people, wonderful people, you wouldn't have heard of Ahmed if it hadn't been for LinkedIn. Maybe if you were friends with him, it would be different. So the scale, the reach is unbelievable, and it's the same for me, Ahmed. I mean, getting invited to interesting podcast opportunities or a live stream with someone, going into their audience, talking about what you do. It's not just for entrepreneurs, right? It's for anyone who wants a personal brand. And there was a great question here by Melissa. What can I do? This is something I'm struggling with. Don't worry, we've got you, Melissa. We're going to hold your hand. And Ahmed has some juicy tips. We're going to go through that definitely. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're simple people. We have bills to pay. We have a mortgage to pay. And if LinkedIn can bring us more money, why on earth are we not, like it's like leaving cash on the table. I've got clients because of I'm not even going to say a video. I'm not going to say a text post. I'm going to say a comment, like, on a big short platform, a big short guy. And I put in a comment and they were like, hey, we want to work with you. So the opportunity is endless. And, I don't think it's going to be free like this forever, right? A lot of people are predicting it's going to go down the Facebook route. In fact, some are saying it's already getting there. A lot of stuff is paid. But till that happens, we've got to make the most of what with what we have today. And I'm going to get cracking in the topic because I am very sensitive with Ahmed's time. It's like I said, it's past 10 p.m. There was a quick question that I feel like if I don't answer Ahmed, I might forget. Sure. I've heard many times that, so Lee says that, people don't pay attention to accounts that don't have a premium account. Do you feel like that's true?
No, it's not true. Look, I'm on premium just because it gives me the ability to connect and reach out to and do a lot of outreach, outside of my content creation. LinkedIn is not going to penalize you in terms of your reach on your content, whether you have a premium account or you have a free account. It does not matter. And things might change in the next couple of years. As you mentioned, I think we've got probably maybe 2 to 3 years of the amazing organic reach that we currently have from LinkedIn before things start to become pay to play. Right now, LinkedIn's main focus is, things like Sales Navigator and the premium listings that allow them to generate revenue. But they're soon going to start to realize that the real money is in the content creators, in people remaining sticky on this platform. And that will probably lead down a Facebook route, right? So you got a good 2 to 3 years to just build a solid brand and create as much content as you possibly can.
Yeah. And let's get cracking. I know you have lots of steps, but before you get started, a quick thing I want to talk about that most people paying attention here, let's face it, even if you don't say it out loud, there is a little bit of fear. We've had it. All of us have had it. We're not going to be like, this is
Yep.
what you should do. And, it's not that, it's actually really easy. No, you're putting yourself out there. It's a bit of a step if you've never done it before. Talk to us, Ahmed, about that fear, because it's real.
The fear is very real. I'll talk to you about my example. I mean, when I started on the platform, I saw a lot of people creating different types of content. I saw everything from text posts to blogs to quotes to people getting audio from podcasts to videos to doing interviews. And I didn't quite know where to start. I mean, I started doing articles and I was an okay writer. I think my first article might have gotten, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 likes and 30 views, and I didn't even have a benchmark at that point. I didn't realize I was good at video. In fact, I was fearful of video until I actually tried it. But the very first video that I ever put out, I forced myself to do it just so I can jump out of my comfort zone and challenge myself. I remember sitting in my car for about an hour trying to record this first video. Right. And this was like a 47-second video. I'm not saying it was like a 10 or 15-minute video. This was a 47-second video, just a very, very simple topic. I was just talking about comparing yourselves to other people. It took me an hour to record this video because I would put my phone up, place it horizontally, press record. I'd speak for a good, let's say 40, 50 seconds. I'd then stop. I'd watch it back. And I wouldn't like the way my nose looked, or I wouldn't like the lighting in my car, or I wouldn't like the fact that I stuttered and stammered because I was a little bit nervous, and I kept deleting and then recording and then deleting.
Yeah, and we don't love our voice in the beginning. We fall in love. We kind of all over again. It's not like, oh my God, I can't stop looking at myself. We only pick out the defects, right?
There is not one person I know, actually, there might be a few people, but I was going to say there's not one person I know that likes the sound of their own voice or likes their appearance on camera. Everybody looks strange. Have you ever picked up your phone and you went to send a text message and you accidentally hit the camera button and you can see yourself in the phone?
And you're like, oh.
And nobody likes that, okay? But you tend to get over it. But I mean, I realized after about an hour of recording and deleting and recording and deleting that at the end of the day, if I was 70, 80% happy with what I had, then that was great. And done is better than perfect, right? Because I didn't want to procrastinate. And one thing I tell my clients today, because I was self-conscious when I first started, I was really self-conscious of the way I looked and the way I sounded. And if I post this, am I going to come across okay? How am I going to be perceived? Are my colleagues going to judge me? All of those things are natural and organic for us to experience. Absolutely. But I tell my clients today, nobody cares what you look like. Nobody cares what you sound like. What they do care about is your message, right? And if you have a message, and this is what you need to remember, if you have a message that can help someone, and every single person does, then you've got an obligation to share that message. So if your focus is not on your appearance or your voice or the way you sound, anything like that, if your focus is simply on a delivery of your message, knowing you can help someone, then that's all it takes to post, right? Absolutely. And every single one of us has expertise and skill sets in a certain area, and we've got a lot of knowledge to pass on. So the reason I say that is because a lot of people, when they think of content, they think of video content, and they think they have to post video content. You don't have to. No. There are people on this platform that I know that have incredible influence, and more important than that, are making a huge impact and have a huge following and get huge engagement and have huge opportunities, and they haven't posted a single piece of video content, right? So my advice here is, when it comes to content creation, lean on your strengths, okay? So if you are a strong writer, write blogs, write text posts, whatever makes you comfortable, as long as you can share your message that way. If you are strong on video and you can't write to save your life, then put out video content or put out podcasts, whatever makes you comfortable. But just keep in mind that I thought I wasn't comfortable with video when I first started, right? And if I use that as an excuse not to create video, there's no way I would have been able to achieve the things that I've done. So it's also a great opportunity to challenge yourself and just take yourself out of your comfort zone and see where your skill sets can evolve. Right now I'm known as a video creator, and believe me, If you saw my first video and my first video attempts, it was pathetic. Okay, so you just never quite know where your skill sets can evolve.
Yeah, I love that. And when you said challenge yourself, the one thing I want to add here is also be free, open-minded, be open-minded to challenge your assumptions. Because like Ahmed,
Yeah.
Ahmed, you told yourself the story. You can't do video. You're not good at video. You don't like how your nose looks or whatever it is,
Yeah.
Challenge that. Try it out, because try it before you deny it. Otherwise we're just like, oh yeah, I know everything. Don't be Mr. Know-it-all, Miss Know-it-all. It's not cool. It's not a cool quality to have. I want to get cracking, but there's so many questions on the content. What type of content should we make? Guys, a little bit of patience. It's gonna really pay off. Trust me. Someone is in the UX space. Monica is a friend of mine who's a doctor, and somebody else in different, like, what do we write? Somebody here is a student. Yashasvi, start. You'll be one of the first ones, and everyone's doing TikTok. You'll be one of the cool ones on LinkedIn. Don't wait. That's all I'm going to say. I know people who've got internships because of LinkedIn, so don't waste the opportunity. And let's talk about some tips. Give us ideas, help us. How do we approach content creation? I'm talking complete virgin, right? We are LinkedIn virgins. We don't know. We kind of like don't get the idea of the platform, but we know that you post something, somebody likes it, you get followers. I'm talking right now, people who are watching, I know for a fact, some people are CEOs, some people are students. Right now, you guys are all equal, okay? Let's put on our student hat and talk to Professor Imam on how we should approach LinkedIn for content creation.
I'll give you 4 ideas to create powerful content. Okay, and it's a great place to start. It's also very impactful. Okay, so when you're thinking of creating content, it's always best to try and solve a problem for your audience. Okay, everyone should have an idea of who their target audience is, who they're trying to serve, who their client avatar looks like, and then aim to serve them. Okay, so if you can provide free value add content that actually serves them, solves some of their problems, alleviates some of their pain points, and you do that for free, you're going to earn yourself a follower, you're going to earn yourself a fan and someone that is going to then follow your journey. Okay, so find out the questions that people are asking. Okay, and there's great ways to do this. I mean, you can do your own research on Google and find out what people are asking when it comes to your particular niche, right? The next thing is storytelling is powerful. Okay, tell a compelling story that really resonates, right? It can be a story as in a case study, right? You can use a case study, a client case study, walk them through the client journey, walk people through what it's like as a client having a client experience with you in your service. Okay, and case studies are a brilliant way to tell a story. They're a brilliant way to talk about a transformation and a brilliant way to try and get potential clients. The other thing that LinkedIn is great for is connecting with people at a human level. Okay, this is an opportunity to really connect with people at a human level. And I emphasize that because when we look at platforms like Instagram and Facebook has a bit of a TikTok now, you see a lot of people curating their lives. They spend a lot of time trying to get that perfect picture to make themselves look a lot prettier than they actually are. You see people taking photos in front of Ferraris or taking photos in front of mansions and trying to curate their life, and there's nothing authentic about that. If you really want to connect with another human being, be as authentically you as you possibly can be, and people will resonate with that. Okay, because everybody is human. Everybody feels pain and feels hurt, has been through struggles, has been through adversity. And if you're able to peel back a few layers and show them that side of you, believe me, you're going to connect with people on a different level. The other thing to do is look at people that are in a similar space than you, right? Again, I'll use the example. If you're an accountant, look to see what other accountants are doing. Look to see what kind of content they're posting. Read some of the comments on their post, and you'll see what people are actually asking them. You'll actually get to see what some of the pain points are. And then you can use some of those pain points to be able to solve their problems through a piece of content. That's a great way to do it. The other thing is always realize that it's never about you. It's always about them. Okay, so a lot of people get into the bad habit of just focusing on them, talking about their achievements, talking about their accomplishments. We call it humble bragging. Where you talk about an amazing award that you've won, or the fact that your business got 6 figures this year. Nobody cares. Okay. Nobody cares what your business has done. They care about how you can actually serve them, how you can actually add value to them. Okay. So make sure that you never focus on you. You're always focusing on them.
Okay. Fabulous. You've shared a step-by-step methodology, and maybe for us, some of us who are starting out, let's go, step by step. So you said 4 things: solve a problem for your audience, share a
Yep.
story, connect and engage, and finally, it's not about you. Do not forget that you're not on an ego trip. Although, once in a while, Ahmed, I would say something like, my personal thing is 1 post, because I post once a day, 1 post a month, something where you're proud that something happened and you want to share it with people, but wording it in a way that you don't come across as, oh, look at me, and I'm so cool and I'm so
Yeah,
successful.
and look, let me clarify that. When I say it's never about you, I'm not saying you can't post about you. I'm just saying that make sure that there's some sort of message there that can help others, right? Whether it's educational or inspiring or entertaining, if you're doing one of those 3 things, that's fine. I'm just saying, don't focus on being self-absorbed. Focus on just trying to share your message. You can absolutely talk about yourself. I mean, I talk about a lot of things that are personal to me,
Yeah.
but I take those personal stories and I end it with some sort of message or some sort of lesson that I've personally learned. And that helps to add value.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean. What I meant is that, hey, I got this award or whatever, but I think it comes down to your intention. You're doing this to get attention, or are you doing this to inspire? For example, if your intention is noble, then, or not, you can't hide it. Let's say the BS radar on a platform like LinkedIn is really high. You're trying to be something you're not. You don't get that far. At least personally, that's how I feel.
Yep.
Okay.
So let's dive a bit deeper. So that was essentially the foundation of how to come up with topics. All right.
Yes.
Essentially, this content creation game is about volume and consistency. That's it. Volume and consistency. And let's break that down further. Let's start with volume. Okay. On LinkedIn, for example, your goal when creating content is to try to remain in the newsfeed. That's the key. Okay, so if you're in a newsfeed and you're constantly visible, people are then going to get to know you. They're going to get to like you. They're going to get to trust you. Once they trust you, they'll then be in a position where they're likely to do business with you, and then they'll repeat to do business with you. Okay, so what's it mean to remain in your newsfeed? Well, when you post a piece of content, the LinkedIn posts generally have a lifespan of about, let's call it 1 to 2 days. All right. After about 48 hours, it'll be very difficult to find your post in a feed unless it's gone viral. And so from a volume perspective, that tells me that I should be posting at least once every 1 to 2 days if I want to remain, visible on the platform. And visibility isn't just content. Visibility is also engaging on other people's posts. When you engage on other people's posts, you're also going to be visible there as a comment, and that allows people to also go into your profile and see what you're all about. The next thing is consistency, and consistency doesn't mean posting 4 or 5 times a day, every single day. But content creation is not a sprint, it's a marathon. For you to be able to build your brand, get people to trust you, actually build authority, find opportunities, this isn't going to happen by you posting 1 piece of content and then the next day you're good and then you don't have to do anything for another month. No, it requires a bit more consistency than that. So like I said, if you're posting maybe once every 1 or 2 days to remain visible, do that consistently. It took me about 3 to 6 months to start building some serious momentum. Yeah. Right. And if I told you how much time I spent on a platform in the early days, you'd probably fall off your chair. But I spent hours on this platform to build that momentum. I spent hours creating content, posting content, and engaging on people's content.
Every day. I want to say that because I've spoken with Ahmed before. Hours every day with a full-time job. This is not pretty. It's not glamorous. It means dark circles. We're not saying you have to do that, which is why we're sharing some shortcuts today. But I don't think there are real shortcuts in that sense. You can get I also want to say here, be careful when you see gurus, because if you if you go to the LinkedIn search and you write LinkedIn coach, you're going to come across hundreds of thousands of people, right? So apply a little discretion before you spend your money and see what kind of journey have these people had. Do they even understand the platform and how it works? Because a lot of times the promises are very kind of, fake. At least personally, to me, Ahmed, I feel that way.
Well, 100. Look, if they're talking the talk, you want to make sure that they're walking the walk,
Walking the walk.
right? If someone is teaching content creation and you go and check their page and they're not creating content, red flags should come up. It's like if you hire a business coach and they've never even had their own business, obviously red flags there. So make sure that you're doing your own due diligence, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good reminder. Ahmed, talk to us about the target audience, because we've got somebody who's a doctor here. We've got a designer. We've got students. Personally, I feel the more niche down your audience, the better. Don't try to please everyone. Who are you talking? And someone said avatar, and I completely agree, Deepti, with that statement. If you have some idea of who you're talking to, talk to us about that. How did you come up with your own?
Yeah, look, it completely depends on what you're doing, right? If you are a dentist, like let's say a dentist in Sydney, for example, you don't need a global audience. You don't need global reach. You don't need a piece of content to go viral. It doesn't matter. In fact, if you are local and you're a local dentist, having a piece of content go viral is probably a bad thing for you. Okay, so the idea is to understand who your target audience is, and if you don't, then perhaps reach out to a business coach and make sure you get clarity on that, because that's absolutely important, to the point where you understand those avatars. And avatars are a great word to use because you can actually picture exactly who you're talking to when you're recording a piece of content, when you're writing a piece of content. You are talking to that one person and you're trying to deliver your message to that one person. Now, when it comes to niche content, you have to realize that a lot of the time creating content isn't just enough. Okay. You also have to do outreach in the back end, but your goal is to make sure that you can build social proof, that you're building credibility, because you're constantly out there and positioning yourself as an authority and talking to people about your particular industry. So that the idea is that not only are you remaining front of mind so that when they do need a dentist, for example, they can reach out to you, but if you do outreach via direct message and try and find people within Sydney that fit in with your target audience, within your avatar, they will then go to your profile. They see you're creating content. They see your profile is up to date. You've got X amount of followers and engagement, blah, blah, blah. And they're likely to reach out to you because you are perceived to be the best. Okay, so having a niche is always very, very important. And it's also important to stay in your lane and not deviate from that. Now, that's if you have a local niche. A lot of people these days, including myself, have a global audience. If you are a coach or a consultant, especially this year with COVID, now that we've had the ability to digitize our offering and monetize in many, many different ways, creating online courses and things of that nature, you actually have a global audience. If your product is an online course, it doesn't matter who your audience is and where they are. Obviously, it's a good idea to understand what that target audience roughly looks like, but your reach can be expansive. Okay, so from there, creating content that can reach the masses but also appeal to your target audience would be relevant. So you have to understand whether you're local, whether you're global, and then create content that is specific to either your niche or the people that you're trying to serve with your offering.
Yeah, I love that. And lots of different, questions and stories here. Somebody said, Firoz, yes, it does require patience. We said it's a marathon, not a sprint. There was a question on tagging that I'm going to come to right now. And somebody asked, how did Ahmed get the school job representing Lee? I think it was you. You're going to hear about that story at some point, I promise you. But let me give you the quick answer to it. LinkedIn had 95%, if not 100%, to do with that job that you got.
Yeah, let me say that me creating content, and I won't spoil it, don't worry, Sunil. But let me say me creating content and building influence on the platform was very much a large part of it. Okay, so it was very much related to my presence on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I love that. And so lots of you who are listening. So, Monica, you're a doctor. So you got to think about it. Who is your audience? Is it other doctors? Is it patients? Right? Think about that. Xander, I think you're here, who's a designer. So is your audience other designers? Or is it employers, prospective employers that you would like to work with, etc. So it's worth thinking about. I don't think you necessarily have to go out there and spend big bucks and hire any coach to understand that. And once you do have this, the next thing I think would be create what is your message, and that's what you shared. Ahmed, when you talked about the story that you're saying, what's your message? What do you want to talk about? And the easiest way we all understand since time immemorial, what's his name? Tyrion Lannister in the Game of Thrones, the last episode, everyone remembers because he talked about the power of storytelling and the power of stories and real stories, not cheesy stuff and, just to look like you're, what I mean? Like it has to come from the heart because people can tell the BS radar
You
is
can
very
you
high.
can you can you can always tell.
You can always tell. And some platforms you can't really tell. LinkedIn, people smell it from millions, thousands of miles away. So share a story, an example, a case study, right? So any other tips you want to, if you want to unpack this for us, maybe with your
Yeah,
own.
for sure. When I first started, let me give you some practical steps to build a following. Okay. Some practical things that I did when I first started. So when I first started, and I had a couple hundred followers. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing on a platform. I just wanted to build some reach, put my message out there, and I had no idea how to do it. So all this stuff was self-taught. Start off by connecting. Okay, so if you understand your target audience, use the search functionality on LinkedIn to connect with your target audience. And I don't just mean pressing the connect button. I mean actually connecting with them as a human being. Write something personal in the personal invite to make sure you can connect with them and continue that discussion within the message. I was connecting with about 20 or 30 targeted people every single day. Okay, every single day, 20 to 30 targeted people. The next thing is engagement. Use this platform to engage. Don't just go on your phone, go onto the LinkedIn app and just scroll through the news feed and go, oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh, that person won an award. That's great. Engage, read people's posts, watch their videos, and provide some quality comments that show you have actually connected with them in some way. Okay, because believe me, that goes a long way. I still look to every single person that comments on my post. I try to respond to them, but I remember every single person that comments on my post. So make sure that you engage. The more love you give, believe me, the more love you're going to get. So when you do start posting, those same people are going to see you in the feed, and the law of reciprocity starts working, and they will start engaging on your post.
Absolutely. I love that. Lots of Indians here. I don't want to, say, I want to say something. This has nothing to do with being Indian, but the word karma, it's actually a Sanskrit word, which is karam, which is the good that you do.
That's
so we all understand,
same thing in the Middle East.
Karma.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn, for me, is the epitome of karma. And somebody mentioned it in the comments as well. The more love you give, the more you comment on other people's stuff, and you say, hey, great job, the more LinkedIn, in terms of the mysterious algorithm, because nobody really understands the algorithm, probably including the algorithm people who make the algorithm shows your stuff to more people. And the complete polar opposite, Ahmed, you've seen it and I've seen it. You see these big shot influencers who've got great followers, huge number of followers. They post something, and I call it post and ghost, they disappear. And people are commenting away and they're having conversations with each other. That's great. But that person doesn't have time to respond. So I personally don't follow such people because I feel like, what's the point? If you can't instigate a good conversation with people, you're kind of like, I'm too important for this. You know what I mean? So the more, or maybe they feel like they've reached a stage and they don't have to be authentic anymore. I don't know, whatever. But it really, really works, the law of karma, when it comes to the LinkedIn platform.
I'll give you a hack as well. I mean, if there is someone on LinkedIn that you want to get the attention of, okay, as it could be for a job, it could be an influencer within your industry, whoever it is, if you actually engage on their post and leave a value add comment, and you do that consistently, the algorithm actually learns that, and they learn that you two are connected in some way. And so the algorithm will then show your content to them, and they will see your content on their feed as well. Okay, so think about that. If you want to be strategic about this and you want to get the attention of a business that you'd love to work with, or you want to get the attention of an influencer you'd love to collaborate with, engage on their content for a couple of weeks, and LinkedIn will then start showing your content to them on their feed.
Love that. It's extremely practical. And I'm going to dive into some questions here because I think
go for it.
I almost feel it. Like people are so like anxious. I can almost like smell it. Okay, the question marks are coming out through the fiber optic cables. Ahmed, what do you think about tagging people? To build your reach. Is that is that like a fake type of reach versus pure organic? What do you think of pods? Let's spell it out. Let's be open here and get your point of view.
Yeah. So, okay, let me break it down as to why people do this. First of all, so the first hour from when you post is absolutely crucial. Okay. So you mentioned before that some people will post and then they'll just disappear. If you're a major influencer, you can get away with that. If you're starting off, I highly recommend that you don't do that.
The golden hour. The golden hour.
The first hour is important for this reason. LinkedIn will categorize your content as either spam or low quality or high quality based on the amount of engagement that you receive within that first hour. If anything, probably the first 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Okay, so the number of likes or comments that you receive in the first hour will determine whether it falls into one of those three categories, and then how much reach LinkedIn will actually give it to either your audience or your second or third connections. And so a lot of people on the platform obviously want to take advantage of that first hour. And so they'll either tag people into their posts or tag people into the comments, because that person will then receive a notification and it'll prompt them to go onto their post and engage. The other thing that people do is they create engagement pods, right? Or engagement groups. And engagement groups are there on every single platform. It didn't start with LinkedIn. Instagram have engagement groups, Facebook have engagement groups, YouTube influencers use engagement groups. It's everywhere. An engagement group is where you have a group of usually like-minded people. It could be 5, 10, 15, 20 people in a group where you can share each other's posts and you like and comment on each other's posts. And some of those groups will do that within the first hour as well to try and game the algorithm, so to speak. When it comes to tagging, look, when I first started, I was tagging people, but this is my thing about tagging. It's really annoying to be tagged in a post when I've never met that person, or I have no idea what context I'm being tagged in, or there's no question for me to try and answer. Don't tag people that you don't know just for the sake of tagging.
Because otherwise you might be perceived as a bit spammy and that person might want to block you. It happens.
It does look very spammy. And I see people to this day that are tagging 200 to 300 people. And look, if you know those 200 to 300 people, go for your life, okay? Because those 200 to 300 people might actually appreciate the fact that you've tagged them into your post and they can provide some context. They can add some value in some way. If you are tagging 200 to 300 people you don't know, not only is that spammy, but LinkedIn is actually going to penalize you for anyone that you tag that doesn't actually engage on your post.
Yeah.
Okay. And let me repeat that. So if you tag someone that doesn't engage, LinkedIn will penalize you. Yeah. And they'll likely put that as a spam piece of content. Okay. So my thing is tag people that you know can add value. They could be an influencer in the industry. They could be friends, colleagues, anyone that you built a relationship with on the platform, but make sure that they can add value in some way.
Yeah, I love that. And what you just said, it does exist. It's called tag jail. I know somebody told me about it.
Absolutely.
It does happen. And by the way, another tip here, Lauren, and for others as well. For me, it's that little bit between crawling and walking when, you need that grown-up hand and you're like, I'm going to fall. Tagging a few people, it feels like you feel a bit more supported, and there's nothing wrong with it, but obviously do it judiciously. And I do something, by the way. send them a private message saying, I hope you don't mind, I'm tagging you. And usually the person on the other side says, hey, tag away, no problem. But they like
Yep.
that you asked, as opposed to
Yeah.
just coming in there and my name. I can't even find my name in that because people have put in like 50 people in that in that comment, and I'm like, what am I supposed to say to
You
that?
should see what my notifications look like now. It's
Exploding.
insane,
Yeah,
right? And I have to prioritize my notifications based on who I know, who I built a relationship with, who are the people that engage on my post, and another reason to engage on people's posts, because when a notification pops up that you've tagged me in your post and I know that you've engaged on my post, I'm going to go and support you, and I'm going to prioritize that over someone I don't know.
yeah.
So just be strategic with how you engage and how you also tag people into your post.
Yeah, I love that. And Deepti, how can you influence people as a cyber psychologist? You you know stuff. You know stuff that people don't. You know stuff about safety and security on the internet. Share some of that stuff. Talk about stories. I'm not saying you have to create fear, but also talk about how changes have happened. But first, obviously, understand who you're talking to, because I think that makes a difference as well. Unless Ahmed, you have something to add.
Yeah, look, I'm sure that you can say 2 or 3 things right now that I've never heard of. Right? You can add value in so many ways simply by sharing your expertise, right? So consider yourself an authority in your industry. And if you're an authority in your industry and no one else knows anything about your industry, what kind of information are you going to share?
Exactly.
Right? And I have no doubt that you know many things that we don't. And so break it down simply for us. Try and educate us with your expertise and update us. So constantly do your research and provide updates on your industry. Anything that's changed in terms of technology or policies, whatever it might be, give us that update, because we're not going to be able to give that.
Absolutely. I love that. And I want to just change your question slightly, Deepti, because you say, how can I influence people? And I like that Ahmed talks about it a lot. Forget influence. Just forget that word. Okay. Think about impact. How can you impact people? And when I say impact, make it positive. How can they leave after reading your your content thinking, gosh, that was helpful. I didn't know this before,
100%. And look, let me add to that. There are 3 fundamental things that you should remember whenever you're starting to doubt yourself on this platform. Number 1, as Sanal mentioned, don't try and focus on influence, focus on making an impact. Number 2, and a lot of people get disheartened with how quickly they can build their following. Don't try to focus on building a following, focus on building genuine relationships. And believe me, once you build genuine relationships, word of mouth starts, you then start collaborating with this person, connecting with that person, you start to be connected to communities, and your following increases over time. The next thing is, do not obsess about being popular, obsess about being yourself. Okay, if you remember those 3 fundamental things and you remind yourself of those 3 fundamental things all the time, this platform is going to become much more enjoyable. Believe me.
I love that. Impact, not influence. Relationships, not following. Authenticity, not popularity. Let's go with that. We have quite a way to go because a funny thing I want to add, and then I'll go to the next question. Yesterday, I wrote to Ahmed saying, hey, we're going to do a quick check before we go live. And Ahmed's reaction was, oh my God, it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to be doing it. I have an extremely packed day tomorrow, Sonal. Thank God and lucky for you that we are friends, because if we weren't, I wouldn't do this for you.
100%.
We're not like, oh, I reached out to you. You were already like quite a celebrity on LinkedIn. I reached out to you last year.
A celebrity, please.
with a funny video that you did, LinkedIn going viral with David Breyer. And I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And I reached out and you responded. So the reciprocity, the karma thing is true. The relationship thing is true. It wasn't about being popular. And then Ahmed supported me the whole time. So hugely grateful.
Yeah, look, I don't believe in the whole influence thing. I don't believe in the celebrity thing. It just, to me, it's absolutely pathetic. And there's a number of people on this platform that drink their own Kool-Aid. They think if they get a few hundred likes that they're big time celebrities and they don't have time for that person. And how dare you send me a message? I just find the whole thing funny. I'm no different to anybody else. If you send me a message and it's a real message, it's not something that just says hi or hello. if you send me a real message, believe me, I will respond to you. I'm no different to anybody else.
Yeah, that reminds me, if you're not already following, I highly suggest you go follow Ahmed. Ahmed, I'm looking at the time. We have 11 minutes before the hour. We have quite a few things to go. Would you be okay if we went a little bit over?
No, that's okay. No problem. And as long as people are interacting and asking questions and I can help,
100%.
absolutely.
People are interacting, and people, if you if you are here, obviously we're here to serve you, and obviously we're doing our best to answer your questions. I have a little juicy little thing that Ahmed, you may not know about, that I want to share towards the end, so do stick around for that. I want to come to Nubia. Hi there. She says she read a post the other day when someone said, keep it real, likes and comments are not a real measure of ROI or leads here. I personally don't believe this is true. She's calling BS on that. Ahmed, what do you think?
I read a post the other day with someone saying, keep it real, likes and comments are not a real measure of ROI or leads here. Personally, don't believe this is true. Nubia, first of all, thank you very much for joining. We've become really good friends. And another example of, a friendship that you can build on a platform really through just reaching out. Likes and comments. Sanal and I were speaking about this offline, and likes and comments can become very addictive. And I mean really addictive, because it actually releases dopamine and dopamine makes you high. Okay, so you can get to the stage where you can go into your phone and see, that little red icon that shows notifications, and it gives you a bit of a buzz and you get addicted to that feeling. So I'm not going to lie and say that likes and comments are not fun. Yes, they're fun, but they're not the be all and end all. And when I talk about impact, I really mean that. And if you can impact one person, and that's because you've received maybe 15 views, then you've done your job. Okay. And it only takes one potential client to really change everything for you. And so likes and comments absolutely help you get more reach, and more reach equals more influence, and more influence allows you to get more impact. But I don't want people focusing on likes and comments, because that's not a fun place to be. And that means that you're only going to be as good. Your self-esteem is only going to be as high as your very last post, and you're going to be constantly chasing the likes and comments. And I know people on this platform who have been doing that for years, and all they do now is play a game of comparisons, as in, oh, that person has more likes than I do. That person's following is increasing faster than mine. And that's not a fun place to be, No. So likes and comments are important. And the best way to focus on that is to just create quality content, but if you're creating content to actually make an impact, as opposed to get those likes and comments, believe me, you're going to make a lot more impact than you could have.
Yeah.
And Nubia, you do just that. And you're a classic example of that.
Yes.
You're a servant leader. I've seen the posts that you make. You don't need to focus on likes and comments. You just continue doing what you're doing, and the right people are going to find you. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I love that. Fabulous. Thank you for sharing. And then I see a question here from Emily. Emily, Sonal, what would be an option to ask questions to a very specific niche audience? For example, in research development, which is where she's from, she's in the food industry. What are your main challenges? That aim would be to learn about people and what you could bring them. Is it something that she can do on a platform like this, or is it more one-on-one, to understand the audience?
Well, it'd be an option to ask questions to a specific audience. Yeah, of course. Look, I mean, your audience is going to be whatever you make it. If you're only connecting to your specific target audience, then your specific target audience are going to see anything that you post, right? And even if you have people within your network that are not part of your audience, speak to your audience directly. And the best way to speak to them directly is to align your content to their main pain points, their main struggles, and what you can serve them with. And you will speak to them. The right people that have that problem at that time are going to notice that post and engage with you. Okay, yeah. So if you want to focus on niche, there's nothing better than you can do. There's nothing better to do than actually speak directly to that niche by targeting or solving some sort of problem that they specifically have. Yeah. And that's a great way to get some potential clients.
I love that. And when you do that, and you're saying, your content is not for everyone, Emily, and that's fine. But when you do that, what Ahmed is saying, more and more, let's not expect an apple tree from the day one and expect apples to grow from the tree. It takes time. Mm-hmm. With consistency, and there's a question on consistency, I'm going to come to that. But when you do that, Emily, what you're going to do is, I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, what you're going to do is the people who you're addressing, the people they're going to find you. I literally, not even in, because I know she's in Belgium. They'll be from all over the place. They'll find you. So you just have to be patient, but not patient like sitting, but patient and putting in the work. So cool. What is consistency? What is too many? And how should we be looking at the type of people are we connecting with? So it's a loaded question, Yashasvi. What type of people would you? I'll answer the second because I want you to answer the first one, Ahmed. The type of people you want to connect with, Yashasvi, are people different types. If you're looking for a job, it depends what you're doing. If you're looking for a job, connect with recruiters, decision makers in the type of companies you want to be in. If you're a small business owner, connect with people who could be prospective clients. However, never say, I'm looking for a job. Do you want to work with me? I'm selling this, I'm selling that. That's not how you lead. That's the number one mistake majority of the people make. And what do you think about, Ahmed? What do you think about frequency and consistency?
So when I first started, one of the fears that I had was that I was going to post too often and people were going to get annoyed by it and they were going to hate me for it. Okay. And a lot of people have that same thing. They're like, I'm not going to post every single day. People are going to get sick of seeing me. They're going to get sick of seeing my face. I'm going to have nothing else to talk about. This game is about volume. Okay. And people are not thinking that. Some people might get sick of you and those people might, either remove themselves as a connection or block you, then fine. They're not the people that you want to have in your tribe or your community or as a potential client. But this game is about volume. This game is about visibility. It's about being seen. It's about being front of mind. Okay, so if you're creating a post, let's say once or twice a day, that's actually not too many. If you're creating a post in the morning and then one in the afternoon, that's not too many, because keep in mind that if you have, let's say, a following of 2,000 people and you post a piece of content, I can guarantee you that piece of content is not going to reach those 2,000 people. Okay, that one piece of content might reach 5% of your following if you're lucky. Okay, so I'm not good at maths. What does that work out to be? What's 5% of 2,000?
5% of 2,000, so that's 100.
Okay, let's say 100 people see your post. Okay, you could post again in the afternoon and a different 100 people see your post. Okay, so it's just a great way to make sure that you're being seen by as many of your connections and followers as possible. And please take out of your mind that you're going to annoy people or that you're going to pop up on the feed too much. That's actually how you build influence and how you can then make an impact, by being constantly visible, constantly seen, positioning yourself as an authority, and constantly seen adding value to your audience. Okay, so post as frequently as you're able to keep it consistent. Yeah. And what I mean by that is, if you can only be consistent by posting, let's say twice a week, but you're able to keep up that twice a week, then twice a week is how many times you should post per week. Okay, if you're able to be consistent and post every single day, then post every single day. People like Gary Vee, the most prolific content creator on the planet, he posts about 4 to 5 times on every single platform, right? Across all platforms, he's posting about 30 times a day. And I'm not seeing every single one of his posts. I might see maybe one of his posts on LinkedIn, maybe one on Instagram. And that's the reason he pushes it out there, to make sure he reaches as many of his connections and followers as possible, because every platform will limit your reach to a certain extent, based on the piece of content and based on the time of day.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for explaining that in detail. Rajni, there is no good response. I have seen likes and comments. Okay, I have seen, Ahmed, you have probably as well, people with 100,000 followers and they get 3 likes. I have seen people with 3,000 followers and they get 100 likes. So it does not matter, as long as you don't equate your identity or your self-worth with those likes. And the main thing that Ahmed said, be honest, have original, fresh content which is coming from your own story. For me, that's more important, as opposed to thinking, as an engineer, what is a good definition of how many shares this should have? I don't know if you want to share something on that.
Yeah, look, likes and shares and comments, I mean, you can put that down to vanity metrics. Again, it feels great to get likes and shares and comments. I'm not going to say it doesn't. But I mean, you have to think about what your actual metric is. What are you trying to achieve on this platform? What's your actual objective? If your objective is to get clients from your content, then like, shares, and comments means absolutely nothing. You can actually get clients by sending people messages via direct message behind the scenes and not even post any content. Okay. If you're trying to make an impact, then again, likes and shares and comments don't make a difference. Impact can be measured maybe by the quality of the comment, or impact can be measured by just maybe helping out one or two people, right? So, I mean, I know I've got a really impactful post when I start getting messages in my inbox saying, thank you so much for that last post. It really made me think differently. As of tomorrow, I'm going to do this. Thank you so much for providing that advice. That's impact for me. If we're being practical and going back to what I was talking about before in terms of how LinkedIn measures what might be good engagement on your post. Look, if you can aim to get, let's say, 10 to 15 likes within the first hour, you're doing well, and LinkedIn will categorize that as probably a quality post, and then it'll then send it out to more of your target audience and more of your connections. Okay, so if you're a little disheartened with the amount of engagement that you're getting, either tag people in your post, like we mentioned, but be strategic about who you tag, and also feel free to tell people that you've posted. Feel free to grab your link and share it with your friends or your colleagues or your network or your community and get people to engage on your post. But yeah, like we said, don't play the likes and comments and shares game because that's not any fun. I will add one more thing. The algorithm assigns different points to the different types of metrics.
Yeah.
Okay. So for example, a like is worth 1 point. A comment is actually worth 6 points. And a share, believe it or not, is worth 12 points. Okay. So,
wow.
So shares, believe it or not, when someone shares your post, it actually reaches a wider network for that very reason, because LinkedIn allocates points based on the algorithm.
And it wants the conversation, which is why a comment takes time, somebody to write something. A like takes a fraction of a second. So they're rewarding it. Remember, we talked about karma. Deepti, I have to rush here, but you're talking about fake. Yes, there are lots of fake profiles. You need to block them. You'll come to know very quickly when you connect that some people, they're not really people. It's a bot or whatever, and you need to disconnect. And yes, other people are fake as well. So you just have to be very careful about the inner circle that you have. The fear is real, Yokesh. You just have to start. You literally have to start, because you cannot practice driving in a parked car. That's all I'm going to say about that. Ahmed, the first one, that just going in there. If you have any tips for Yokesh.
Yeah, Yokesh, I felt the exact same way, my friend. I felt the exact same way until I posted and until I started to see that the community on LinkedIn was very, very supportive. If you're going to post your first video, for example, my suggestion is make a headline on that video saying, this is my first LinkedIn video, and see how many people come to your post to support you. Okay, so this is a very supportive and forgiving community that just loves to help lift people up. So the best way to do it, like Snell mentioned, is just to get started. But the other thing is just focus on your message, brother. Don't focus on anything else. Don't focus on how you look or what people are going to think. Just focus on trying to add value and speaking your truth. And that should help hopefully eliminate the fear. And once you start seeing people engaging on your post, or people at least starting to reach out to you, that fear is going to dissipate.
Yeah, I love that. And Yokesh, you also asked something else. Write about what you know. If it's not in your domain, I saw that question. Don't do it. At least not in the beginning. Write about what you know. It's familiar. It's comfortable. And it doesn't have to be that you're swimming in a very deep part of the ocean and you don't know how to swim yet. So take it step by step. Oh, I think I've almost caught up with the comments, because there was quite a few. A share meaning, Lee, that somebody shared your content. They click share and they send it out to their network. Good. Let me see what else we had, because we looked at a huge amount of questions. And Ahmed, I know that you have a few personal favorites when it comes to, not specifically LinkedIn, but personal branding. And Melissa, I know you had a question on personal branding, and I want to start with one because I know you're a big fan of David Breyer, brand intervention. I'm going to put that down in the comments. But anybody who's listening who's familiar with David Breyer, if you could put it in the comments and I can highlight it. Ahmed, anything else that you recommend people who are starting out?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, my favorite content creator is Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's put out a lot of content books. He's also got an amazing podcast, which is Ask Gary V, and he puts out a podcast every single day, talking about content creation and talking about content in general and marketing and business and innovation, a whole bunch of things. My favorite content book is actually from Gary V, and that is Jab, 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 Right Hook.
Right Hook, yeah.
Okay, so it's called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And what he does is he actually uses a boxing analogy, right? If you're in a boxing ring, that's a jab, 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 right? Most people are jabbing, and then you come in for the right hook when you want to knock someone out. Okay, so the idea being is a jab is the regular feed content that you put out on a regular basis, right? So it's the normal stuff that you might put out once a day or once every second day. Is just stuff that educates people and adds value, essentially free value add stuff that you're giving to your audience that they can either be educated by, inspired by, or entertained by. And you do that most often and frequently. Okay, just like in a boxing ring, you're most often just jabbing. If you went into a boxing ring and all you did was right hooks, you're not going to get anywhere. You might get lucky, but odds are you won't. But jab, 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 right hook means that you give them that regular free value add content, and then you can come in with the right hook every now and then, whether it's once a week or once every 2 weeks, and start putting out a post that actually talks to your business or talks to your products and talks to your service or talks to your webinar or talks to your online course. And because that free value add content, those jabs have actually added value, it's also built trust. And so by the time you come in with that right hook and that piece of call to action, they're then likely to take on that call to action and start to do business with you. Okay, so yeah, Jab, 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 Right Hook. If you haven't read that, it's a brilliant read, and it gives you a very good understanding on not only different platforms, but how to structure the strategy behind your content.
Love that. Perfect. Thank you for sharing. And I saw a question here, Nubia, about videos, and we talked about it in the beginning. I'm not going to be able to repeat it because I also have to go pick up the kids from school. But we did say everyone doesn't have to do video, right? And yes, this is a great way to build trust. You're talking to people feel like you're real, but there are some great influencers out there who don't do video, and they're hugely successful as well. So it doesn't really matter. I hope this was helpful. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback. And Melissa, you had lots of questions, so I hope this has answered. The last question, and then I'm going to talk about some juicy stuff. The last question, Ahmed, I ask everyone on Supercharged Fridays, looking back, right? So you've been working for maybe around 20 years or a little less than 20 years. Do you think about some lessons from your own career that you wish, darn it, you knew sooner?
Yeah, I would probably say that if you are the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room, and I've learned that over the years. Always be forever a student, always continue to learn, make sure you're surrounding yourself with a team of people that are smarter than you, that you can actually learn from. Put yourself in communities and environments where you can consistently grow and develop. But I mean, for me, if I don't look back, if I look back and I don't see that I've grown over the last 6 to 12 months, then I've wasted that last 6 to 12 months. Okay, so it's all about growth. It's all about development. It's all about improving and maybe just being a little bit better, even 1 or 2% better than you were the previous day. Okay, so yeah, for me, it's all about growth.
I love that. And one of your, colleagues from your part of the world, Rana Kurdahi, was on Supercharged Fridays a couple of months ago, and she said the same thing. I think ABL, always be learning. You've got to be hungry to learn. And the day you feel you've done it all, you're barely scratched the surface. So I love that. Lots of people saying thank you. I want to say one little thing, and this is the juicy bit that I was saving for the end. I don't know if Ahmed knows what I'm about to say, but I believe a little bird tells me that you've been a bit of a lab rat. You've been in a lab, you've been working on some stuff, this potion, this magic potion, and I know it has something to do with LinkedIn and content creation. So I just want to say to everyone who's hungry for more, because maybe this wasn't deep enough for you, and we don't have all the time in the world. But if you want to learn more, I do want to say watch out, because I believe something is cooking in the lab, and you've got your lab glasses on, and something's coming. Can you give us a little
I've
taste?
been a little bit quieter than usual the last 3 to 4 months, and that's because I've been taking the time to listen not only to my clients but people on the platform and the people that are hesitant to create content, the people that are struggling to find out what topics to talk about, struggling to be consistent, struggling with confidence or courage to post. And I've decided to build a business around it, right? And this is going to hopefully revolutionize things on this platform. So the idea is that I'm going to create a content community that can help support you in being accountable and consistent to create content. I'm going to help you with content ideas and topics. I'm going to help you be consistent. I'm going to help you be accountable. It all sounds a little bit vague now, but all I'm going to say is please stay tuned. It's going to make sense in about 2 to 3 weeks' time when I launch this. It's going to be incredibly easy to come on board. It's going to be absolutely value add. The price point is so cheap that it's an absolute no-brainer. And I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it to try and impact as many people as possible through content creation. So stay tuned. And if you have many more questions about content creation, it's all going to be answered.
Love that. That's really exciting. And I'm sure everyone's like, ooh, what's coming? It's so exciting. So yeah, I love that. And I want to give I think a quick summary of everything we talked about. I love it when you shared that. And I see a little typo in my impact, not influence, relationships, not following, authenticity, not popularity. Ahmed, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here today on your Friday night and being so awake and so alert at
My pleasure.
11 minutes past 11 p.m. for you in Sydney.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. And thank you to your audience as well.
Yeah, thank you guys for being here. This wouldn't be the same without a live audience. So I wish you a lovely weekend. Stay safe, put your masks on, and see you next time. Ahmed, don't leave, but I'm just going to get off the platform. Bye, everyone. Have a safe weekend.
See you, everyone.